I created an account and texted my girlfriend as if I were another guy. Just to see if she would cheat. She almost got carried away. Now I can't look at her normally. I created a fake account just to test if my girlfriend would cheat on me. And now, I don't even know if I can ever look at her the same way again. It all started with this tiny little seed of doubt. You know how sometimes you're just lying in bed and your brain decides to ruin your peace by whispering, "What if she's talking to someone else right now?" Yeah, that voice got louder and louder every single day. And the thing is, my girlfriend has never really done anything to make me suspicious. She's not sneaky, she's not secretive, she's not glued to her phone like some people are. But I guess the problem wasn't her. It was me. See, I've been burned before. In my last relationship, I was blindsided. One day I thought everything was fine, and the next I found out she was basically running a side relationship with some guy from her office. And I didn't see it coming at all. I promised myself I'd never be that clueless again. So now, in my new relationship, I feel like I'm always looking for warning signs, like a detective in my own personal crime show. That's where the fake account came in. It started as a joke in my head. Like, what if I just made some random guy on Instagram and slid into her DMs to see what she'd do? At first I laughed at myself because it sounded so childish and paranoid. But then, the more I thought about it, the more it didn't seem like a joke anymore. It seemed like insurance. A way to prove to myself that she was loyal. Or maybe just a way to satisfy my messed up curiosity. So I did it. I created this account. Some random dude with a decent profile picture I grabbed off a free stock photo site. I made him look real, a couple of travel photos, a gym selfie, some memes. I even followed a handful of random people to make the account look legit. Honestly, it was kind of scary how easy it was to fake a life online. Within like an hour, I had this fully functioning, believable persona. Then came the hard part, actually messaging her. I stared at that message button for a solid 20 minutes. My heart was racing like I was about to commit an actual crime. Which, in some way, I guess I was just a crime against trust, maybe. Finally, I typed out something simple, like, "Hey, I saw your profile through a friend's account, and you seem really cool. Hope this isn't too random, but I just wanted to say hi." I sat there, staring at the screen, waiting. She didn't reply right away. Hours went by. Part of me felt relieved, like, okay, maybe this was dumb, maybe she won't even bother. But then, later that night, I saw the little notification. She had responded. My stomach dropped. Her reply wasn't anything crazy. Just a polite, "Hey, thanks haha. But who do we know in common?" Totally normal, not flirty, just cautious. And that should have been the end of it. But no. My brain decided to push further. I kept the conversation going, slowly, carefully. Compliment here, joke there. Nothing too intense at first, just enough to see how she handled it. And honestly, she handled it too well. She laughed at the jokes. She asked questions back. She kept the conversation alive when I thought it might fizzle out. And that's when it hit me. She wasn't just politely brushing me off. She was engaging. That's when my paranoia kicked into high gear. Every time she typed, "Oh," I felt like it was a knife in my gut. Every time she responded with more than just a one-word answer, I imagined her slowly slipping away from me. I told myself maybe she's just being nice, but another part of me was screaming, she doesn't have to be this nice. She doesn't have to be talking to him at all. The crazy part? She never mentioned she had a boyfriend. Me. Not once. That's when things really started to spiral. So there I was, staring at the screen, watching my girlfriend talk to a guy who didn't even exist. Watching her laugh at his jokes, asking him questions, keeping the conversation alive like she was actually enjoying it. And that guy was me. The irony was so painful I almost laughed out loud. I mean, what the hell was I even doing? On one hand, I felt like I had her right where I wanted her. Proof, or at least the beginnings of proof, that she wasn't being totally honest with me. On the other hand, I felt like a complete maniac, because I was literally catfishing my own girlfriend. Who even does that? Apparently, me. But here's the thing. Once I saw that she hadn't mentioned having a boyfriend, I couldn't stop. That became my obsession. Every time she responded, I would analyze every word, every emoji. Did a smiley face mean she was flirting? Did a haha mean she was secretly attracted to this fake guy? Was she testing the waters? Or was she just being nice? I should have stopped right there. I should have closed the account, deleted the messages, and pretended it never happened. But no. Instead, I doubled down. I started messaging her more, slipping in little compliments like, "You've got a really fun vibe," or "Talking to you is the best part of my day." Stuff that sounded harmless on the surface but was very much testing the waters. And she never once shut it down. Sure, she wasn't exactly flirting back. But she wasn't rejecting it either. She wasn't saying, "Hey, I have a boyfriend." She wasn't saying, "You shouldn't talk to me like that." She was just letting it happen. And that drove me insane. Meanwhile, in real life, everything was normal. She was still sweet, still affectionate, still hanging out with me like nothing was wrong. Which honestly made it worse. Because every time she smiled at me, every time she kissed me, I had this sick little voice in my head whispering, "But she's also smiling at that other guy. She's also keeping him around." And that other guy was me. Do you know how insane it feels to be jealous of yourself? To feel like you're competing with your own fake identity? It was like I had split into two people. The real me, and the fake me was winning. She seemed more interested in him than she ever had in me. Or at least, that's how my paranoid brain twisted it. Things escalated when I asked her. Well, the fake guy asked her if she wanted to grab a coffee sometime. My hands were literally shaking as I typed it out. I didn't even want her to say yes. I just wanted to know what she would do. I wanted to see the truth, no matter how ugly it was. She didn't say yes. But she didn't say no either. What she said was, "Haha, that's nice of you, but I'm pretty busy lately." That one sentence wrecked me. Because technically, it wasn't a rejection. It was a soft, polite brush-off, sure, but it left the door wide open. She didn't say she wasn't interested. She didn't say she couldn't because she had a boyfriend. She just said she was busy. And that's when I realized I was in way deeper than I thought. Because instead of feeling relieved that she didn't outright agree, I felt betrayed that she didn't shut it down completely. Like, if the roles were reversed and some random girl slid into my DMs, I would have shut that down in a second. Out of respect. Out of loyalty. But she left me dangling. She left the fake guy dangling. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Every time she was on her phone, I wondered if she was waiting for a message from him. Every time she laughed at something online, I wondered if it was one of his stupid fake jokes. I was losing sleep over this, obsessing, checking the messages every 5 minutes to see if she'd replied. It got so bad that I started resenting her in real life. She'd do something totally normal, like ask me how my day was, and I'd snap at her because in the back of my head I was screaming, "Don't act all sweet with me when you're entertaining some other guy." Even though that other guy didn't even exist. The worst part. She started noticing something was off. She asked me if I was okay, if something was bothering me. And I just lied to her face, telling her I was stressed with work or tired or whatever excuse I could come up with. All while I was secretly building this fake online relationship with her just to see how far she'd go. And she was going further than I ever expected. One night, while we were hanging out on the couch, I sent her a message from the fake account. I wanted to see if she'd reply right there in front of me. And she did. She literally smiled at her phone, typed something, and then quickly locked it when I glanced over. I don't even remember what we were watching on TV, because all I could think about was that she was texting him. And I was sitting right next to her, invisible in my own relationship. That was the moment I knew I'd gone too far. But instead of stopping, I pushed harder. I told myself I just needed one more message. One more test. One more chance to see if she'd crossed the line. And what happened next was the moment everything blew up. I told myself it was just one more test. One more push, and then I'd stop. I'd get the answer I was looking for, and I could finally put my paranoia to rest. That was the lie I fed myself as I sat there, staring at my phone at 2 in the morning, typing out words that made my heart race like I was standing on the edge of a cliff. The fake guy messaged her, "You seem like such a cool person. I wish we could hang out in real life sometime, just the two of us." That was it. The line in the sand. If she crossed it, if she said yes, then I'd have my proof. If she shut it down, then maybe I could breathe again. I hit send, locked my phone, and just sat there in the dark, waiting. It felt like my whole relationship was hanging by a thread, dangling on whether or not she would betray me. My chest was tight. My palms were sweating. I don't think I've ever been more scared in my life, and the crazy part was that it was all because of a conversation I was having with myself. When her reply came in, I swear my heart skipped a beat. She wrote, "That would be fun, but I don't know. I'm not really the type to meet up with random people online." I should have felt relieved. That was basically a no. She wasn't agreeing. She was laughing it off. She was giving a polite excuse. But the way she phrased it, "not really the type," made it sound like she wasn't totally against the idea. Like it wasn't about me having a boyfriend, it was just about me being a stranger. And that destroyed me. Because in that moment, I realized, she wasn't loyal to me. She was loyal to the circumstances. If I wasn't a stranger, if I had somehow been introduced by a friend, or if she had met me in real life, who's to say she wouldn't have gone for it? That's when I started spiraling. I pushed harder. I had the fake guy keep messaging her, making her laugh, making her open up. And she did. She told him about her job, about how stressed she'd been lately, about how sometimes she wished she could just escape for a while. She even mentioned me once, just in passing, like, "My boyfriend doesn't really get how much pressure I'm under." That cut me deeper than I can explain. Because there I was, sitting in the same room as her sometimes, trying to be supportive, trying to be the best boyfriend I could, and she was confiding in this random online guy. Me but not me, as if he understood her better. The lines between reality and the lie started to blur. When we hung out, I would think about the things she told the fake account. I'd wonder if she was only being polite with me, if she was just going through the motions while secretly wishing she was with someone else. I felt like a stranger in my own relationship, and the stranger she was opening up to was me. The worst night of all was when she sent him a picture. Nothing scandalous, just a casual selfie of her at work, making a silly face. But it wasn't a picture she ever sent me. That's what killed me. She was sharing pieces of herself with him that she didn't share with me. And it made me feel like I was losing her, not to another man, but to the version of myself that wasn't weighed down by jealousy and insecurity. That's when the thought hit me like a punch to the gut. Maybe she liked him better. Maybe she liked the fake version of me, the funny, confident, mysterious guy online. More than the real me, the guy sitting across from her who was drowning in paranoia. And I couldn't stop. I was addicted to the game now. Addicted to testing her. Addicted to watching her walk this fine line between loyalty and betrayal. I hated her for it, but I hated myself even more for needing to know how far she'd go. One night, after a few drinks with friends, I decided to cross my own line. The fake guy sent her a bold message. "You know, if I met you in real life, I think I'd probably fall for you." I held my breath. That was it. That was the bait. If she flirted back, even a little, I would have my answer. Her reply came 10 minutes later, and it was a dagger. "Haha, you're funny. You don't even know me like that." But then, another message. "Besides, someone else already has my heart." At first, I felt this huge wave of relief. Finally, she said something that sounded like she was shutting it down. That was what I wanted to hear, right? Proof that she was mine. Proof that she wasn't actually entertaining him seriously. But then I realized something. She still didn't say she had a boyfriend. She didn't mention me by name. She didn't say, "I have a boyfriend I love." She said, "someone else." As if she was keeping it vague on purpose. As if she didn't want to close the door completely. And that's when I snapped. Because in that moment, I realized I couldn't keep doing this. I couldn't keep living this double life, being jealous of myself, torturing myself with every word she typed. But I also couldn't look at her the same way anymore. I felt like I had caught her red-handed, even though technically she hadn't done anything. Or had she? I didn't even know what counted as betrayal anymore. All I knew was that the next step had to be something bigger. Something that would force the truth out once and for all. So I made a plan. The fake guy was going to ask her to meet. In person. And that's when everything went completely off the rails. When I decided the fake guy was going to ask her to meet, I felt like I was loading a gun and pointing it at my own chest. I knew this was dangerous. I knew that if she agreed, everything I'd been afraid of would be confirmed. But if she refused, maybe I'd finally have peace. Either way, I couldn't go back anymore. So one night, I sent the message, talking to you online is great, but I'd really like to see you in person. Maybe grab coffee this weekend. My hands were shaking as I pressed send. It felt like my entire relationship was about to hinge on one reply. She didn't respond right away. Hours went by. I kept checking my phone every 5 minutes, pretending I was scrolling through social media when really I was just waiting for her to either destroy me or save me. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined her saying yes. The next morning, her message finally came through. My heart dropped when I read it. I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't usually meet up with people from online. Not a no. Not a yes. Just another vague, middle ground answer. My stomach twisted into knots. Why couldn't she just shut it down completely? Why couldn't she just say, I have a boyfriend. Stop messaging me. Why was she keeping this door cracked open? That's when I made the decision that changed everything. If she wouldn't shut it down, I would force her hand. I set up the meeting. I told her the fake guy wanted to meet at a coffee shop downtown, gave her a specific time and place. And then, I waited. The hours leading up to that day were torture. I couldn't eat. I couldn't focus on anything. I kept imagining what would happen. Would she actually show up? Would she lie to me and say she was working late, only to sneak off to meet him? Or would she text him at the last minute to cancel? Every possible scenario ran through my head, and none of them ended well. When the day finally came, I felt like I was walking into a nightmare I had created for myself. I went to the coffee shop early, sat in the corner with a baseball cap pulled low over my eyes, and waited. My heart was pounding so hard I thought people could hear it across the room. Minutes ticked by. Every time the door opened, I snapped my head up, terrified and desperate at the same time. And then, she walked in. My girlfriend. My stomach dropped to the floor. She looked around, like she was searching for someone, clutching her phone in her hand. She wasn't meeting a friend. She wasn't casually stopping by. She was there for him. For the fake guy. For me. I felt sick. I wanted to run out of the shop, disappear, pretend this wasn't happening. But I couldn't move. I was frozen in my seat, watching the person I loved look around for a man who didn't even exist. She sat down at a table near the window, nervously scrolling through her phone, clearly waiting for him to arrive. I stared at her, my throat tight, my hands trembling. I couldn't believe this was real. I thought about walking up to her right then, confronting her, shouting, "Who are you waiting for?" But I couldn't. Because if I did, I'd have to admit everything. I'd have to admit that I was the fake guy, that I had been manipulating her for weeks, that this entire disaster was my fault as much as hers. So instead I sat there, watching her, torturing myself. 10 minutes passed. 15. She checked her phone again and again, probably wondering why he hadn't shown up yet. My heart cracked every time she glanced toward the door, hoping he'd walk in. Finally, after almost half an hour, she sighed, stood up, and left. I stayed behind, my head in my hands, feeling like my entire world had just collapsed. She had actually come. She had chosen to show up. And here's the part that haunts me the most. She didn't tell me. That night, when we were together, she didn't mention going to the coffee shop. She didn't say a word about it. She acted like everything was normal, like she hadn't just tried to meet another man. I couldn't look at her the same way. Every smile, every touch, every word felt fake. I wanted to scream at her, confront her, demand answers. But how could I? How could I admit that I was the one who set her up, that I was the one who betrayed her trust first? So I stayed silent. I played along. And inside, I was breaking apart. For the next few days, I couldn't stop replaying it in my head. The way she looked when she walked in. The way she scanned the room. The way she sat there, waiting, like she wanted it to happen. And I kept asking myself the same question. If I hadn't created the fake account, if some other guy had messaged her instead, would she have done the same thing? Would she have gone to meet him? I didn't want to know the answer. But I also couldn't let it go. That's when I realized this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because now, it wasn't about testing her anymore. It was about deciding what I was going to do with the truth. Do I confront her and risk losing everything? Or do I keep my mouth shut and pretend I never saw what I saw? Either way, my relationship would never be the same again. And the worst part? She still doesn't know. I wish I could say that after seeing her at that coffee shop, everything became clear. That I finally knew what I needed to do. But the truth is, I've been living in a fog ever since. Every moment with her feels like it's split in two, the version where I'm her boyfriend, and the version where I'm the fake guy she almost met. At first, I thought I'd confront her. I even practiced the words in the mirror. I know you were at the coffee shop. I know you were waiting for someone. But every time I imagined actually saying it, I froze. Because the moment I opened my mouth, she'd have questions. How did I know she was there? Why was I there too? And worst of all, why did I make that fake account in the first place? I couldn't answer those questions. Not without tearing everything apart. So instead, I pretended. I kept playing the role of the clueless boyfriend, smiling when she smiled, holding her hand, acting like nothing was wrong. Meanwhile, inside, I was screaming. Every time she laughed at her phone, I wondered if she was thinking about him. Every time she came home late, I wondered if she was lying to me. The paranoia didn't stop. It got worse. Because once you see your partner walk into a coffee shop looking for someone else, you can't unsee it. It's burned into your memory forever. And yet, I couldn't leave her. That's the most pathetic part of all this. Despite everything, I still love her. Or maybe I love the idea of her, the version of her I thought I knew before I opened Pandora's box. There were moments when I almost told her. One night, when we were lying in bed and she had her head on my chest, I felt the words rise up in my throat. I catfished you. I tricked you. I saw you waiting for me at the coffee shop. But I swallowed them down. I told myself I was protecting her. But really, I was protecting myself. Protecting myself from the fallout, from the guilt, from the humiliation of admitting what I'd done. So I carry the secret alone. Sometimes I wonder if she knows more than she lets on. Maybe she suspected something. Maybe she had an instinct that the guy online wasn't real, that he was me. Maybe she went to that coffee shop just to test me, the same way I was testing her. I'll never know. That thought keeps me awake at night. Other times, I wonder if I ruined something that was never actually broken. Maybe she was just being polite online. Maybe she never had any real intention of meeting him. Maybe she just wanted attention, the kind of harmless validation people chase without ever meaning to act on it. Maybe if I hadn't meddled, our relationship would have been fine. But I'll never know that either. Because I crossed the line first. The guilt eats at me, but so does the doubt. I live in this limbo where I can't trust her, but I also can't blame her completely. I set the trap, and she walked into it. Whose fault is that? Hers for stepping in, or mine for building it? The other day, she asked me why I've been distant. She looked me right in the eyes and said, "You feel different. Did I do something?" And I wanted to laugh, or cry, or both. Because if she only knew what I'd seen, what I'd done, she wouldn't even have to ask. But I just smiled, kissed her forehead, and told her I was fine. And that's the truth of it. I'm not fine. I don't think I'll ever be fine again. Not as long as I'm keeping this secret. Not as long as I'm replaying that moment in the coffee shop over and over in my head. Sometimes I think about ending it. Not telling her the truth, just walking away, saying I need space, pretending it's about something else. Maybe that would be kinder than admitting I catfished my own girlfriend. Maybe it would save us both from the ugly truth. But then I see her smile, or hear her laugh, and I can't do it. Because even after everything, I still want her. I still want us. So here I am, stuck in this twisted loop of love and mistrust, guilt and paranoia. Living with a secret that she'll probably never know. Unless one day I break. And if that day comes, I don't know if it'll save us, or destroy us completely. For now though, this stays my confession. Anonymous. Buried. No one in my real life knows the truth. Not her. Not my friends. No one. Only you do. So tell me, what would you do if you were me? Would you confess and risk everything? Or would you keep the secret and try to live with it? Because honestly, I don't know how much longer I can.